We should have muted the microphone.
It's slow. Okay, now I'm back to the screen where I have the window.
Okay, you're good, Sandy.
On a Citrix.
Ione, how are you? Good. Can you give me a mic check, Ione?
Mic check.
Loud, clear. Okay, Miss Andrews, let's try again. Can you hear me? You on the phone? Yes. I see.
Muted. You muted.
You're muted.
I'll do it.
Try again.
Yeah. All right, I can get out of being.
There you go. You were.
That's all right. I got you.
I got you.
from
Don't touch the computer. I got you from here.
Says,
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
You want me to unmute?
No,
No,
you just stay unmuted.
Okay.
There you go. We're in business now. Mario, all yours.
my old one.
Yep.
I haven't put in a password yet.
Still can't hear you.
Sandy, go ahead, Mario.
Seven ten p.m. and welcome to this week's edition of Community Conversation. We have another informative session for you tonight, and we hope that you would leave here fired up to be prepared for life in this global society. Now, over the last 3 weeks, we have had a trunk full of information on college readiness. Okay. As we said, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, Mario. That's all right. But like we said, over the last 3 weeks, we've had a trunk full of information on college readiness. Tonight's segment is designed to provide every one of you firsthand information on how to get your financial health in order. Trust me, young man and young lady, it will come in handy because you can't rely on getting a Social Security check anymore or even a retirement pension. Well, earlier we were trying to play a soundtrack at the beginning of the show, because what we're trying to do is trying to play 3 soundtracks over the next 3 weeks. So on the 4th week, you would be the one to decide of the 3 songs which one you like best. Once we decide on a song, that would then be the theme song for this show. But we'll try again next week. So, our first guest today is school board member, my dear friend, Miss Marsha Andrews, who is a staunch fighter for our children, regardless of which zip code in which they live. Let's see. Hello there.
Hey, C-Ron, do you want me to get out and just try to come back in and see what I come up with?
Yes, do that, please.
Okay, all right.
She's still having challenges getting in. Okay, she's having challenges getting in, so not sure if you guys can hear me out there. I am Maria, can you hear me? Mario? Dina?
I hear you, but I don't see you.
Okay, can you still see me? My monitor is showing that I'm live, but I can't hear anything, so bear with me for a minute, folks, while we try to address this. Okay. Okay, Maria, can you hear me?
Hey, Ron. Can you
Yes.
hear me? Yeah. Okay. You've been dropped from the WebEx call. It's not showing you in there. That's
Oh, it
probably
dropped. Okay, so let me
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back to that.
I had to switch mic inputs so that you could hear me through here.
Okay, I'm joining again.
Yep.
Okay, so that dropped. Okay, that explains why.
Yeah. Bear with us, folks. We'll be back on topic in just a moment.
Time for a commercial break. Hey, if you don't know about it yet, you got to do the census.
We are determined to get this right.
Sandy's trolling.
Okay, I think I'm back.
There we go. Let me switch back to the call for the mic input.
Okay, can you see me? Am I back now?
No.
Yes, I can hear you, and I think I have visual on my end. I think I'm back. How was that? Okay, just let me know when I can begin. Oh, there we go.
We got you.
Okay, Miss Marsha Andrews, is she back? Not yet. Dina, just let me know when she's in, please. All right, guys, our first guest is our board member, Marsha Andrews, and she's a staunch
Fighter for our children, regardless of
whatever zip code they live in. Come to think of it, she represents the western corridors of the county, but she's always fighting for our kids in the
South End. We also have Mr. Sandy Goodman, who is the master of counting people so we can get more monies for the government for our communities. Speaking of money, we have Miss Ione McNeil, the baby billionaire, who began investing at the age of 7. Finally, we have a group of students who, for the last 9 weeks, have been learning how to make money in the stock market. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight. You certainly will hear more from them later. Tonight's program is produced by Miss Geraldina Bazou, and let me just add that the technical difficulties that we're experiencing had nothing to do with Dina's capabilities. We are in the process of transitioning from WebEx to the platform that the Boca Raton TV uses, so we're still ironing out some of the bugs, and that will take us a few weeks, so bear with us, please. Now, Miss Bazou is a graduating senior at the Atlantic Community High School, as well as the Milagro Center. LaDainian Dede Thomas, who attends the Milagro Center and Village Academy, is serving as our production intern. Mr. Mario Rodriguez is our production manager at Boca Raton TV, and our cinematographer, person responsible for all the music that you'll be hearing over the coming weeks and should have heard at the beginning of the show, is Neil Sunsky, Neil Noel. And Neil is a proud product of KOP Mentor Network as well as Village Academy. Tonight's forum, folks, is an opportunity for our young people to hear from our leaders as well as role models in our community. Just some housekeeping matters. The city of Delray Beach has money to help residents who may need help with paying their utilities or rent because of the pandemic. Money is also available for first-time home buyers. That is, if your parent wants to buy a home, they can call 561-243-7280. And for those of you who are watching on Facebook, the number will be streaming on your screen. And for those on WebEx, that number will be in the chat. Dina, go ahead and put that in the chat, please. So that's 243-7280. Call them and see if you're eligible for the assistance. Welcome back, Ms. Andrews. Are you unmuted now? Yes, you are. Say hello. Ms. Andrews, can you hear me? She still cannot hear me. Let's try this again. We will continue. Somehow you're not. Next week, we'll hear about a topic that we all love, and that's food. Ms. Andrews, if you can hear me, just give me the thumbs up. So she cannot hear, and we cannot hear her. What I'm going to do is Mari, I'm going to pass her number on to you, and then you can call her, please, and see how we can help her. Okay, we're going to talk about food next week, guys. Let me just say that we are a mentoring program, and as such, for the past 3 weeks, we have been providing you with information about colleges and how to get a higher education. Now, tonight we're going to hook you up on investment. And next week, we're going to give you an insight of the proper food to put in your bodies. Speaking of food in your bodies, is Miss Botting on the line tonight?
Hello, sorry.
Botting, thanks for being with us this evening. Just briefly, what can we expect from next week's show?
Well, next week's show, we're going to talk a lot about food as power, and really think about how that food and our diets have the capacity to change the world, and what we can do as young leaders to really start thinking about how do we bring not only better health and sustainability to this world, but greater equity through food and the notion of food justice. And so what we would
What we need to do, is there anything that we need to do in preparation for next week's show, Ms. Botting?
Hello?
Yes, we need everyone
trying to get C-Ron back.
Miss Andrews, you're on. Miss Andrews, you're on. We can hear you now.
We were actually wondering what happened.
Yeah, I can't hear anybody. I can see everybody perfectly, but I'm not getting any voice.
Turn your
Maybe you
screen up.
tried log back in.
I did. I logged out and logged back in, and
Okay, let's take care of that.
I was playing with the audio piece to see if I could get something, and then the speaker and the microphones and everything.
Okay. What we're gonna do is, Mario, we're gonna have to patch her through on the phone, and she can speak through.
I think John. Okay, the sound went off like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
So,
I can see everybody, and I can see everybody talking. I'm gonna use up all the time.
Ms. Botting,
Wait, let me see something here.
Ms. Botting, what can we do to prepare for next week?
Well, you can bring your sense of humor, right? That's the first thing that we all
It
need.
says use system setting, and I have Realtek audio. It looks like it's working here.
Devon,
I
Yeah,
can't hear anybody.
since you're a host, you can actually just mute Miss.
I'm trying to do that. Let me see. Mute all.
Maybe try that again.
Audio, mute all.
I'm playing with the audio now.
Unmute temporary. Okay, let's do
Output level.
mute all. There you go. All right, so I can't mute Mr. Botting now. Okay, go. Let me
An
go
assignment.
ahead. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Look into your refrigerator and find one item that has a seed. And once you have prepared that piece of food, make sure that you save the seeds or the seed. The other thing that we need the mentors to do is to prepare yourselves to actually really start to have critical conversations with young people about changing the world through food. There is so much inequity. The reason that people are dying from COVID is not the virus itself. It is their lack of immunity to the virus. And what is crippling our country and our the health of our citizens is chronic disease. And so much of that is born through food and ultimately sort of our lifestyle decisions that come with food. And there's an enormous amount of injustice in the way that our environments, our immediate environments are built and reflect lower options for us. So really what we want to see is, you'll hear more next week, but the assignment for between now and then is find a seed in your refrigerator and hold on to it. We're going to give you instructions for that afterwards. So
What about those of us who have trees in our refrigerator?
trees?
Hey, you look at mine. There's no telling what you find in there.
That I would say that just pull up the roots.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Botting. And guys, you know, we're at a phase right now in this community conversation. We're at the embryonic stage. And years from now, I'm sure this will be a mainstay in this community. Not just this community, but around these United States. And we're going to look back and say, I remember that day on August 14th when Marsha Andrews made history. Okay, we're going to talk about this day, Marsha, and I'll never let you forget this day. Anyway, now that you're back with us, look, guys, if you're in the 3rd through 6th grade, Mari, I'm having some echoes. Can you turn me down a little, please? If you're in the 3rd through 6th grade and have an interest in aviation, the Soaring Eagles is accepting an application for its 2020-21 year. that starts in September. And for those who don't know, Soaring Eagles is a cool program here in town that introduces young people in elementary to the field of aviation and avionics. If you're interested, would like to know more, go to Eventbrite and register. And you should know that space is limited. So register sometime this weekend. I look around, I'm seeing a few parents on the line and a few first-time visitor, 83. So we have a few first-time visitors. If we do, just want to give you a quick background. For those joining us for the first time, Community Conversation was birthed during the coronavirus, at the onset of the coronavirus, when the students were home, cooped up in the homes with nothing to do. The leaders of 3 organizations here in town, EJS Project, KOP Mentoring Network, and the Milagro Center, we got together to form this forum so our young people could get answers to their questions, Sandy. They were asking parents questions, and poor parents could not answer them. So we brought in the chief of police, we brought in our vice mayor, and we brought in some medical professionals to answer our question. Let me just pause and say thank you to the people who made sure that we're able to do this program, as well as the many field trips that we do throughout the year. We want to thank the United Way of Palm Beach County for their generous donation, the Community Foundation of Palm Beach County and Martin Counties, Roots and Wings, Doug Young of Delray Beach, and Quantum Foundation for their sponsorship of this program. If you are interested in sponsoring one of our programs, contact us at 561-665-0151. And now it's time for our weekly feature, which is GEM. That's Great Educated Mind. And that's our GEM Session Mind, where we hear from college students, get a chance to ask them about college life, about hurdles they experienced in high school that you as high school students should avoid. And you get a chance to pick their brains on anything you'd like to know about, and you can seek help as you prepare for graduation. Let me bring on Miss Shantira Hughes. Good evening, Miss Hughes. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
It's great to have you here with us this evening as one of our great educated minds. Now, if I recall, you're a graduate of Boca Raton High School, or was it the Atlantic High School? Which one was it?
Boca Raton.
Okay, so you came from down the road. All right. Now, what we do know, though, Shantira, you are in your second year at Florida International University. Am I correct?
Yes.
Now, talk to us, if you will. How was the experience last year? What was it like to be a first-year student in college?
Well, to start off, basically, college is completely different from high school. It's basically more independent. You have to learn how to wake yourself up in the morning, how to know when to eat and what to eat to stay fit, and what to do when you have downtime, and how to plan out your time to study.
Now, Shantira, I'm going to mute all, and I need for you to unmute yourself, please. Continue. So you were saying about you have to wake up and you got to know what to eat.
Yes. And how to plan out your time to study, put in study time. And also it's very important to put in time for yourself, because you can sometimes lose who you are and it's hard to stay focused. And a lot of kids go through a depression stage while in college because lack of friends, lack of being able to put yourself out there. And that's one thing that you really need to know, is to be able to associate with other people and make friends out in college.
What do you mean lack of friends? Don't you have friends in college?
Yes, but at first it was hard to make friends. Everyone's coming from different areas. I had about 2 people from my high school to come to Florida International. So those 2 people I barely talked to in high school. So I had to make friends on my own and had to meet new people and start to communicate better.
you mentioned that you have to carve out time for studying. Now, Shantira, how much time do you spend studying each week?
Each week, it takes about 6 hours of study time to at least be able to pass your classes, make sure you know, what you need to know for class, and to make sure that all the material that was handed to you, you have it down pat.
Okay, well, we have quite a few high schoolers on the line right now. We have Monique, we have Nia, we have Miss Henry. We have quite a few. Talk to us, Shantira. We're going to have some more questions for you later on in the program. But what do you wish you knew when you were in high school that could have made things easier for you? In other words, what would you tell your 18 or 17-year-old self?
Basically, I would tell myself to take those college classes that they offered in high school as much as possible, because then that cuts out the time that you take to get your AA, which is basically your first 2 years, you're getting your does nothing with your major. So if you take those in high school, you cut those 2 years out, and you have more time to focus on your major. And then you also get the opportunity to graduate faster, which means the scholarships that you have coming for 4 years, you use them all up, and you use 2 years of it, and then the 2 years can go to your graduates if you want to continue on with education. So take those ACE classes, AP classes, take as much as possible, because then it takes away time from doing what the university wants for you to more focus on yourself.
Got you. Well, stand by, Shantira. We'll have some more questions for you shortly. Miss Andrews, is she back with us? So we will move on since she's not with us. Or no word yet? Okay, that's fine. We'll work on getting her on next week, guys. So we had a video on the census that we wanted to show, but let me just see if we can get it on without me getting knocked off again. Let's try sharing my screen. Optimize for music video. Okay. Okay.
Hello, citizens of Delray Beach. It's time to check your mailboxes and count everyone in your household, because every count brings more money to the city of Delray Beach, which can be used to build better roads, create better housing, make better schools, and have a better representation in Congress.
I am counted.
I'm counted.
I am counted. I'm counted. Are you?
Complete the census today by filling out and returning the provided form via the provided census envelope, or by calling 1-844-330-2020, or by completing it online at my2020census.gov.
Major props to you, Neil, for putting that together. Our own Nilsansky Noel. As you've heard, guys, on this program, and if any of you guys know Janet Meeks from the city of Delray Beach, she has been pushing to get people to fill out their 2020. Okay, stop. She has been pushing people to fill out their 2020 census form now for some time, and particularly among groups that have traditionally been missed in previous censuses, such as African Americans, renters, and people who live in poverty. One of those groups, I'm telling you, one of those groups most undercounted in the 2010 census will remain oblivious to the efforts to make sure they're included this time, and that's children under the age of 5. Studies show that an estimated 4.6% of children, that's from newborns to age 4, about 1 million nationwide, were not counted in the last census. Now, Sandy Goodman's here, and Sandy, these kids, they can't go to school. They can't work. They can't even vote. So why do they even matter? Okay, help him unmute.
I unmuted myself.
There you go.
Well, first of all, you were 100% correct in your statement about more than 1 million children weren't counted 10 years ago. And the fact of the matter is that because they weren't included in the count 10 years ago, we, people who would serve them for the time between entering school and graduating high school, was lost. We didn't get money for them. And whether the money was $1,000 a year or $12,000 a year, it makes no difference. It's that we lacked the funding to pay for things like school lunch, tutoring, teachers, school buildings, and all of the services that people use throughout the city, including health and hospitals, clinics, foods, our water supply. All of that is funded in some way by the federal government on some kind of a share mode. Now, for 2020, we put through a huge push to try to get everyone counted. And we tried with schools. We had a program for K through 12 called Statistics in Schools. And it was geared to provide lessons that were differentiated based upon subject matter to be able to touch census for every single subject matter that was going throughout. And recognizing that a good number of children who attend our schools come from houses where the dominant language is not English and where the parents may not speak English. But the children, by that point that they're in school a half a year, they learned English, so they were able to transmit the information back home. Unfortunately, we were hit with the pandemic at exactly the time that program was due to start, which was the middle of March. And then the other part of it, we were already set to have all of the marquees for all of the schools have a census message during spring break. That didn't happen. So here's the challenge. In the city of Delray, we have just about 50% of the people who have responded so far. That means that we will, if we don't change that dynamic, we will lose millions and millions of dollars that we're entitled to each and every year for the next 10 years until 2030, until the next census. So we need to do something now. And as I was telling you before we started, this is now the time for action. We need to get people to take action now. We can't say to them, well, when you get a chance, look for the paper in the mail. You know, when you get a chance, fill it out. No, it's got to be, you need to do it now. And you need to be able to tell everyone that you know that they should do it if they haven't already done. And even if they did it, they should take the time now and contact 5 people that they know and ask them, did you do the census? If you did, thank you. And if you didn't, do it now. And then after you've done it, it's simple. It's only 9 questions, about 5 minutes. After you do it, then that person needs to spread the word to another 5 people. If we do that just in Delray Beach, we will achieve a much higher percentage than the 50 or even the 60%, which is right now the norm for the county of Palm Beach. So,
Well, Sandy, I can speak now. See some of the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, which is one of our partnering organizations here in town on this call. And what we're going to do, I'm going to make a commitment right now that we're going to do a 1 in 5. Every member of the fraternity, every member of KOP, we're going to make sure, and everyone on this call, I'm going to make a commitment that for the next 30 days, we're going to do a 1 in 5. We're going to ask every person to call 5 people and ask them or encourage them to register for the census. How about that?
that's great. One of the questions that comes up is, well, why should I do it? What does it mean for me? I don't get any money. I'm just a person.
Right.
The answer is every single thing that you do and everything that is done for you is funded by the federal government in some way, shape, or form. So even though you don't know about it, it's there. And the other part, which no one really talks about, is representation. And I don't know how important it is to everybody, but it's important to us because for the state of Florida, the number of seats in the House of Representatives is determined by the number of people who fill out the census form. So 10 years ago, when we were undercounted by about 300,000 people in Palm Beach County, we still gained 2 seats in the House of Representatives. We were poised to pick up another 2 seats this time. But right now, as I sit here, the projection is that Florida will lose a seat instead of gaining 2. That means that our voice in Congress will be diminished. We don't want to see that diminished. The more voices that we have in Congress, the more things that will happen to benefit Florida. And the more seats that are in Congress that are Florida, the more votes that we have to elect the president. Because believe it or not, the number of seats in the House of Representatives is the same number of seats in the body that elects the president. Not the same people, but that's the correlation. So the more we have, the better off we are prepared to change our future.
Sandy, if you will, clear one confusion we've been having here, and a lot of families might have this. Should people count grandkids or unrelated children living in the home?
The way we look at it, it's very simple. Whoever is living there, no matter what generation they are, no matter what the relationship, or if there is no relationship, they count. Everybody who was alive on April 1st, 2020 counts. If a child was born on April 2nd, 2020, they have to wait until 2030. That's the rules. But you got to look for all the people in the house, the grandparents who are stuck away in the basement, and the lucky aunt who's visiting and staying there for a few months because she got bounced out of where she was living. All of those people count. We have communities, we have housing where the zoning is for one family, and yet we know there are 2 or 3 or 4 families there. We need everyone counted. There are no restrictions on who gets counted. And in Delray, we also have a significant population that are homeless. And
right.
I was talking with the homeless population. There's a coalition for the homeless in Delray headed by Ezra Craig. And what they're doing is, even on this weekend, they're bringing those people in and they're getting them counted. How? Because they're going to sign them up at an address, whether it's the church or whether it's the 7-Eleven or the Dunkin' Donuts. They're going to use those addresses and get them counted. At least this way, we will get the representation and we will get the funds. People who are homeless use a lot of resources. They use the clinics, they get food. All those things don't come free. And even though the federal government doesn't give the money directly, it gives it to the foundations and the organizations that provide those services. So when you think about it, you're helping everyone if you get people to respond to the census.
Stand by, Sandy. Already I'm getting some questions, so stand by, please.
I'm ready.
I'm Ione. I'm the baby billionaire, and I hope that you can be one too. When it comes to buying stock, invest wisely. I actually started learning how to invest when I was 7. I actually bought my first stock at about 9. And from there, without saving, investing any more money, I can retire as a millionaire. Stocks are a share of ownership in a company that anybody can purchase. The purpose of this workshop is to teach you how to make your money work for you. How do we make our money work for us? Through investing. I've traveled the country teaching about investing at an early age so that by the time they retire, they become millionaires. What are you all going to do with your money? Invest it! All right. Anybody can buy a stock. Investing is not just for the old crowd, but investing is really for us because it allows us at an early age to make our money work for us. Start investing now and you'll reach your money goals sooner than you think. Investing can be very risky. The reason why you want to diversify your investments is so that you can also diversify your risk. Your investments are your nest egg. Having stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all in different industries and all in different sectors, you're able to spread your risk around. And even if one industry goes down, you still have at least 5 other industries holding your portfolio up. Buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. My basic investment strategy is to recognize cool trends that I see people engaging in, find the companies that are involved in those trends, research and analyze their stock, and then find the right time to purchase that stock. Hey, BizKid, invest a little money now.
All right. We have with us Miss Iona McNeil. Put your hands together for her. Miss McNeil, thank you so much for joining us. This is a very busy young lady. And when she said, look, I want to spend some time with your kids in Delray Beach, guys, we are just so honored to have you with us this evening, Miss McNeil. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Can you see me?
No, I can't.
I don't know what's going on, but
That's all right. Listen, we couldn't hear Marsha Andrews earlier, but at least we can hear you now. Don't worry about seeing you right now. Let's try to fix that. We cannot afford to lose you right now. We could see you earlier, though, somehow.
yeah, I tried to change my name. I signed out. I signed back on, but it didn't work.
Well, you know what? We don't want to lose you, so do what you have to do. But in the meantime, you started, Iona, you started investing at an early age when most of us were still putting dimes and quarters in our piggy banks. Somehow, you knew at a very early age that you did not want to trade your time for dollars. And basically, you escaped the rat race before you were even old enough to vote. Miss Willingham is on the line, and I know she remembers it. I remember you being in my Sunday school class and speaking to the kids about investing. And look at you today, big and large in charge. Talk to me, girl. How did you get involved in investing?
Oh, that's a great question, and I think you set it up nicely because I think I was having this conversation at work today that I felt like
Oh, you mean you have to work with all that money you have?
I like to work because I still like to interact with people. I don't get paid much, but you know, I'm not there for the money. But I grew up actually thinking that I was poor because we didn't have money for the things that I wanted as a kid, like Jordans and Nikes and AC for that matter. But
Okay.
because of that, I think just like any kid, as you grow up, you watch your parents and you watch adults and you make mental notes. I want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. And so when my mom went through some financial heartache, I immediately was like, I don't want to be like that. And then when she started to read certain financial books and get into organizations that exposed her to investing and how to make her money work for her, I immediately was like, I want to be like that. So that's how I got into it. I got into it because as a family, we didn't really know that much about money. We lost my grandmother's house because we didn't know about wills, trusts, estates, that type of stuff. And consequently, as a kid, by watching, you know, us go through financial hard times, I knew I did not want to end up like that. And then I just started to make decisions that would, you know, help me to be to where I am right now.
All right. Well, talk to me. What's the difference? And I see questions already coming in. Hold your questions, guy. Keep in fact, keep them coming. Keep them coming. What's the difference between savings and investments, Ione? We keep hearing both of them a lot.
Sure. Well, when you think of savings, you're really putting your money into one or two institutions. Either you're putting it into a savings account or putting it into a credit union. But it's really something that is just basically being held. You're getting you're definitely getting less than 1% in terms of interest on your money. And what investing is basically loaning your money to corporations that's in the business of making money. So when you buy stock in Apple or Amazon or Target and Walmart, you're actually giving your money to a corporation in hopes that you would get that money plus more in return. A concept that we're not that familiar with is being a lender. We're used to the relationship of being a borrower when we want to buy a house or buy a car. We go to get an auto loan or a mortgage, and we're used to borrowing somebody else's money at a certain cost. That cost is whatever the interest they're charging you to borrow that money. But we're not used to being the lender and lending our money to corporations and in return getting 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% on our money. And the reason I put it in that type of context is because that's what happens when you're investing in large cap companies that pay dividends. If I buy 5 shares of Walmart stock, and let's say each share was $20 a piece, I've just invested $100 in Walmart stock. But each quarter or let's just say each year that I hold my money in Walmart stock, they're going to be paying me $4, $1 every 3 months. Right? So if I had that same $100 in a savings account, I would probably get a penny to 10 cents for the whole year, whereas $100 in that Walmart stock is giving me $4 to $5 every year. And so just realizing, oh wow, I could actually lend my money, or basically like how you said, make my money work for me. I don't have to go to a job and only make money by doing something. I can actually make this decision, put my money over here and just let it grow.
Let it grow.
Yeah, because the gap in is, as Mr. Sandy was talking, I've been texting people about making sure they've done the census. So I've already hit
Thank
my
you.
10 people.
You got your 5. Get 5 for me too, please.
Yeah, of course. But I do think that as we within our own communities start to look at ourselves differently, we, number one, make sure we count by doing the census. We, number two, we make sure we make our voice heard by voting and by attending commissioner meetings, which is what we're doing right now, because in the city of West Palm Beach, they plan to cut library funding in half while increasing funding to the police department, which is already over 50% of the city's budget. So by encouraging people individually to make public comment, I think when we recognize our own power, we then can be like, oh, well, I can make sure I'm represented from the government or societal perspective. What can I do individually to make myself more financially secure? When we think about corporations, just like regular people, they usually go to an institution like a bank or an investment bank, and they raise funds in order to expand operations, in order to put new product out to market. So why not be a part of that process and lend them your money? They already have a great track record of making money. Now that you've become a share owner, you now sharing the profit of that company making money, not just being a consumer.
Thank you so much for explaining it and breaking it down the way you did, because when you mentioned earlier about we can loan money, I was saying, well, I didn't realize it was legal for us to lend money just like banks do. But you simplified it so well. You were instrumental in several of our young people learning about the stock market and investing this summer.
Yes.
Tell us more about this project, if you will.
Of course. So I'm working with some people, namely Bob Wynn out of Madison and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yep. And we have this initiative basically entitled Financial Literacy in Communities of Color. And so we're making a very concerted effort. This summer is the pilot program where we're trying to expose as many students of color from, we have some elementary schools, but definitely middle school, high school, and some college students to the world of investing. So each team has no more than 5 students. Each team also has 2 adult advisors. We have a 10-week curriculum that involves video, a short video clip where they're understanding the market, understanding capital markets, understanding what is a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, investing, principles of business and how that translates into investing. And so slowly but surely, by walking through this curriculum, they are getting exposed to not just the educational part, but the experiential part, because at the beginning of the summer, when they started June 15th, they were given $100,000. And most of us have never or probably will never see $100,000 at one time. So this has actually been a great learning process, because I think, and you would agree, for us in our community, it's really all about exposure. You making the announcement about the space program, that's exposure. Us doing the stock market game, having a chance to invest what I'll say real money and see how you can manage that. Because I think when we a lot of times come from nothing or don't think we have much, what really counts is what do we do with what we have. Yeah. And so what's been very interesting, and we're starting to wrap up now and do post surveys, but these kids, a lot of them have never seen $100,000 and are afraid to invest the money. So just this experience has gotten them more comfortable with
handling money,
period.
Isn't that something? Come to think of it, I just learned that we have some of our rising millionaires with us tonight. Let me see. Let's acknowledge 3 other advisors who are with us tonight. We have Miss Aida Smith, Miss Tylene Henry, and I want to acknowledge them for volunteering with with the young ladies and helping them to be prepared for life in our global society. We also have Miss Jada Williams, who I think worked with the boys. Now, Miss Smith,
and Yolanda Phillips, I think they both have mixed groups.
Yolanda Phillips. Okay, Miss Phillips. Okay, good. Thank you. Ms. Smith, briefly, how was the experience working with these young ladies from across the country, I was told?
Okay, it was a great experience. It was amazing how quickly the girls picked up how to maneuver around the system, how to make the trades, how to do the research. Every week, we gave them an assignment to research a stock and get the historical values and come back the following week. So we had also on the operations side, every Monday evening at 6 o'clock, they needed to log in with their homework, ready to make trades, ready to analyze the stock. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And last week, Monday is going to be our final meeting, but last week we did go over a couple of questions of what they would do if they happen to have received $1,000 today, and they had some very interesting answers. And
I can't wait to hear from them. So who do we have with us this evening?
we have Helena Henry.
Okay. Miss Henry, how are you? Helena,
Yes.
how are you?
Good.
So Helena, where do you go to school?
Go to Thompson K International Academy in South.
Thompson K International Academy. And what city is that in? Southfield, Michigan. Whoa! So we've expanded outside the borders of Palm Beach County, Sandy. Wow. Wow. So Miss Smith, are you telling me that there are no kids from Palm Beach County?
Well, Miss Jasmine has she moved back into Florida State today, so she couldn't make it. She's busy unpacking. And who is that? Is that Delina?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Delina.
You mean Delina Johnson?
Yes, yes.
I know someone who is $1,000. Delina Johnson. Whoa. All right, Delina, I'll get with you in a minute. Now, Miss Henry, what grade are you in?
6th grade.
6th grade. And what do you want to do when you graduate high school? When you go on to college, what do you want to study?
Fashion design.
Fashion designing. Why?
Because I like to draw and make clothes.
You like to draw and make clothes. I think Miss Johnson likes to draw and make clothes too. Interesting. Now, if you've been doing this now for 9 weeks in this pilot program, let's say I were to present to you $1,000 today. What would you do with that money?
I would put 300 of it towards a business and use 400 for emergency savings and use the last 300 of it to buy stocks.
Okay, you'd put what kind of business?
Clothing line.
Clothing line. And you would put some for emergency savings. Why is it so important for us to have emergency savings? We have our credit card, we have our debit card.
Sometimes something might be too expensive for you to pay for, and you have that money in your savings for you.
Okay. All right. That's good. And the rest you'd buy stocks. Have you decided what stocks is what do you guys say? Trending? What stocks are trending out there right now? Some of the are you allowed to give me, say, the top 3 stocks? Can I buy some stocks on Sunday or tomorrow?
Stocks I would probably buy electronic.
A little louder.
I would buy stocks from electronic companies.
Why?
Because those people use a lot of electronics now with the pandemic because they can't really go.
Interesting. Sandy, what? You heard that?
I heard it.
Wow.
It's great. We need to train the young people so that they're prepared when they grow up and begin their own families. If they're aware of what's going on around them and they're participating instead of being told, they could lead a better life. And that's the way to get out of where we are now. I mean, we're in a mess. Forget the political part. We're still in a mess in the country because we don't have equity across all levels.
You're right about that. You're right about that, Sandy. Now, Miss Johnson, are you with us yet? So
Yes,
you
I'm
hopped on.
here.
You're back. Good. Great having you, Miss Johnson. So happy to see you on the line tonight. Now, you spent the last couple of weeks learning about investing. What have you learned? And I know you learned a lot, but what have you learned, Delina, that would add some value to your life?
Well, I learned how to invest in the stock market and look at different things to help with that. Like what we did was like we played a stock market game, so you had to look at the ticker, and we wanted to make sure that the stock was doing well. So you have to look at that, like if it's been up or down for the past few weeks. And I think like that could be really valuable because now I know how to invest in stocks and I know which ones to buy.
You said you had to look at the ticker. What is a ticker?
A ticker is like a symbol, well, not really symbols, but a series of letters or numbers that you can use to find the stock. So like each stock has one.
You mean like the bull?
Like what?
The bull. You know, the bull is a symbol they have on the stock market.
Not like symbol, but
Oh.
letters.
Oh, letters. Okay, you got to show me that sometime. Now, I know Miss Henry said she would invest some of her money in stocks. She would start a business with the rest, and then she'd have some for obviously emergency savings. How would you divide your 1,000 if I should give you some right now? Remember, you know Mr. Ceron now. So how would you invest how would you use your $1,000 if I should give you 1,000 right now?
I would use about 400 to invest in the stock market. And then I use another 400 to 500 to put into a CD savings account. And then the other 200, I might make like 500 for myself or invest some more in the stock market.
Okay, so I heard you say CD, heard you say investment, you say yourself, but nothing for Mr. Ceron, huh?
Well, I could get something for you.
Oh, it's so sweet of you. Listen to you. Now tell me, Miss Johnson, where do you go to school?
Well, I'm going to Dwyer High School next year.
Oh, you going to Dwyer? Where'd you go to middle school?
Bach Middle School of the Arts.
Bach Middle School of the Arts. All right. Well, stand by. I have some more questions for you. Sandy, quick question here coming through. Could it be that a child living with her grandparents, would they be included in the household? But what about a daughter away at college? Would they also be included in the household? So a child living with the grandparents would be included in the household, but what about a child living away in college?
It's a great question, and many people are confused about it. You have to think about it like this. The census doesn't care where people live. They need to count everyone. So on April 1st, think of it like they're taking a snapshot from outer space as to where people are physically there. And if you're away in an out-of-town college, you're in that city or that state, and therefore they're entitled to the resources that come with your being there. So the answer is, if you were physically here on April 1st, and understand again that this is a strange year because colleges all shut down and all the kids left the schools and came back to live with their parents. If they were here on April 1st, they count here. If they were in a dorm or they were in an apartment in some other state, they count there. So the answer is very simple. Think about it in terms of where you physically were on April 1st. And if you were there, you count there. And
sounds good.
There's another segment of the population which we haven't touched on, seasonal residents. And there are a good number of people who live in Palm Beach County who are here for part of the year, and then they go back up north where they live the rest of the year. And no one ever knew up until this time that they were entitled to be counted here if they were here. And since the census went out on March 12th, most of them were still here. So my campaign for about a year long was to educate them to make sure we got them counted. We didn't, though. They fled the coop when the virus came, and they went back to the northern place
Right.
where they then got infected, and then they tried to come back down here.
Now, Sandy, let me ask you this. When is the deadline? When is the last day for this campaign to run?
I'm glad you asked that. The last day that you can respond is September 30th of 2020.
September 30th. What I'm going to do, we don't have enough time for you to go through everything. Now, I'm going to make sure we get you back sometime early September, because what you have to say is quite valuable. And hopefully by then, we'll be able to report that we have at least 50 people who we registered. How about that?
Sounds good to me, and I'm ready anytime you are.
Sounds good. Ms. Hughes, are you still on the line?
Yes.
I have a question for you. What kind of things are there to do on your campus, and is there really a social scene there? I'm considering that campus, but in Dade County, I don't think it is like that in Dade County.
In Dade County, there's a big social scene. Actually, you have very different ethnicities there, so you start to learn about other types of ethnicities on campus. They have everything you can think of, from frats to sororities to football games are actually pretty active there. You can go to the gym. They sometimes throw like certain parties, certain fun things to do on campus, and the social scene is actually pretty active. Plus, you have the malls that are down the street from the campus, and I say FIU is a great university to go to, if even for social scene and for educational purposes.
I know you guys have good food down there. I had a chance to visit your campus a few times, and you guys have a food court, man, one of the top I've had in a long years. Miss Baby Billionaire, we have a question for you. I've been getting a lot of calls. In fact, a lot of messages here for the school board member who, by the way, she said to tell you young ladies, she is going to try her best to come back in a coming week. So she wants to hear from you guys and wants to speak to you guys. So we're going to try to get her either next week or the following week. But as you heard, she had some challenges with her phone. Baby Billionaire, you started an organic garden while at Howard University, the Howard University. And you did so while you were building your brand as well as your business. What's the story behind that? What inspired you to start this garden, if you will?
Well, that's a great question, because when the other lady came on about next week's episode, I'm in the backyard and I'm actually looking at some watermelon that I planted back here. So I'm interested to hear what she has to say next week. But what ended up happening was, as I was graduating Howard University, I didn't really know what I was going to do next. And I just knew that the investing path that I was on, I knew that I was going to be rich, which is the thing that I think I wanted most. I didn't know what I was going to do as a career. But when I started to basically dream or imagine what my life was going to be like, especially in retirement, I wanted to just, have a garden. And so I ended up connecting with some friends, and we had similar interests, and we ended up starting an organic garden at Howard University. And I wrote a contract to Howard University to stay and take care of the garden. So I actually did that from about 2010 to 2014. And it's actually one of the best experiences that I've ever had. It was my first time gardening, but I was able to bring in so many different educational pieces, social justice pieces, invite schools from all across DC, middle school, elementary schools, private schools to come and do art, and we really treated the garden like a living laboratory.
Mhm.
So that's how I got started in that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. My producers tell me I have 3 more minutes to go, but quickly, just got a text here. Please emphasize the need of importance. Let these young people know the importance of mathematical, reading, and communication skills. The author also said she's very proud of the youngsters who spoke a while ago, very proud of the folks who are working with them. Thank you so much. And are there any males in the program? Miss Smith, there are some males in the program, and we are
There's
working
some that
on.
are on now. Neil,
Yes.
Neil is a part of the program. Okay, we're working on getting them on. So in a few more weeks, you will be hearing from the young men in the program. Final question I have, Miss Iona, we got to get you back here sometime before the year ends. We know you have a hectic schedule, but we have quite a few questions more for you, and in fact, I have a lot of questions coming in. So I'm going to try to bring you back before the year ends. Can you do us a favor, please?
of course.
Thank you so much. Listen, Miss Henry, I know you're a busy person. You're all the way up in Michigan, and you may not have time for us again. But please, last question. Were there any negative consequences that challenged your team over the last 10 weeks?
Yes.
What were some, if you don't mind? While you think of it, Miss Johnson, what about you? What are some of the negative challenges that you experienced during the last 10 weeks?
There weren't many challenges that we experienced. It's just that one of them was that in the stock market, like basically some weren't doing so well. So we had to sell some. I mean, we still kept like a little bit of the stock because like you want to make sure that you don't sell everything because the stock could always turn around. But we were starting to lose some money because some of them weren't doing so well. They were down.
Okay, so Miss Henry, if your stock is dropping, how do you determine how much to sell?
It will depend on how much money it was for losing.
Mm-hmm.
We would sell at least half of it and see if it would grow, and if it didn't, then we would just sell the entire stock.
Got you. Well, guys, that will about do it for this week. We do not have enough time to answer all your questions, but folks, I see them coming in still. We will most definitely have these young people back. In fact, in the very near future. Stand by, stay tuned. Thank you very much to Miss Shanti Hughes, Miss Andrews in her absence, Mr. Goodman, Miss McNeil, and all the members and coaches of Legacy Lifestyle. Young people, as I've always said, there's no greater investment that you can make on a Friday night than being with like-minded peeps on Community Conversation. As I've always said, the best is yet to come. Keep hanging out because next week we have an awesome show. Not only are we going to talk about food, but we have some. Let me stop. Let me stop while I'm ahead. Again, tonight's show was produced by Miss Dina Bazoo, a student at Milagro Center here in Delray Beach, assistant with LaDanian Day Thomas and Mr. Neil Noel. Thanks to all our guests and a big shout out, huge thank you to Boca Raton Tribune for simulcasting us on Facebook. That's broadcasting us live on Facebook. Until next time, have some fun this week, folks, while practicing social distancing. And please, sir, please, my young kings and queens, wear your mask, wash your hands, and again, practice social distance. Because this thing is a beast. It does not discriminate. From all of us here, have a good night. Take care.